Hello everyone! Today we will talk about jewelry from 1860 to 1880. Jewels were worn in abundance and earrings were practically favored. The jewelry trade flourished in both France and England. France was once more ruled by an emperor. Eugenie, the wife of the new Napoleon, influenced taste both in fashion and jewelry. In particular, she admired the 18th century fashion and made Marie Antoinette her model. She supported the revival of 18th century crinolines and had part of the crown jewels remounted in Louis XVI style. Her favorite stones were emeralds, which were soon to become the most sought-after gemstone in France after diamonds. The Second Empire in France brought a revival of Napoleonic designs and motifs. Cameo carving and gem engraving continued to be an Italian specialty in spite of the competition of German lapidaries. The favorite material was agate, in most cases artificially stained by a process known for centuries. The stone was placed in a sugar solution, which was absorbed by its porous layers, then subsequently fired so as to burn the sugar, staining black or dark brown. Tiaras and hair ornaments. Tiaras of gold leaves in archaeological style, which a gable point at the center and sloping to the sides were common in the 1860s, as well as more elaborate diamond scroll work, often of Louis XVI taste, supporting pearl, diamond, or emerald drops. At the end of the 1870s, the Russian tiara made of small diamond spikes made an appearance. This design subsequently developed to more elaborate, radiating motifs and remained in favor throughout the last 2 decades of the century. Pins were frequently worn in the chignons. The most elaborate took the form of diamond stars, birds, flower heads, sunbursts, crescents, butterflies, and hummingbirds, and the simplest consisted of large beads of jet, gold filigree, or tortoiseshell earrings. Earrings worn throughout the 1860s and 1870s for day and evening wear, favorite hairstyles that required hair to be brushed to the back of the head, the low décolletés of ball dresses, and the simple necklines of day wear. Their size fluctuated throughout the period, but grew to enormous proportions in the late 1860s and early 1870s, when they almost rested on the shoulders. Favorite materials were gold and enamel for day wear, and pearls and precious stones for evening wear. The designs included spheres, drops, hoops, fringed ovals, crosses, lozenges, flower heads, and stars. The archaeological revival supplied endless sources of inspiration in the form of inverted drops decorated with granulation, rosettes, openwork, Greek keys, and many others. In 1870, novelty earrings took the form of insects, fish, flowers, lizards, baskets of flowers, bird cages. Necklaces. Necklaces tended to be rather short, often made of Brazilian or flexible tubular linking, and were almost invariably decorated with 1, 3, 5, or more pendants of various imaginative shapes. Greek antiquity offered an inexhaustible source of ideas for such pendants: acorns, masks, medallions, inverted drops, and the like. Long gold chains continued to be worn freely, draped on the bodies at the waist or around the neck. Their primary function, if one were needed, was to support the watch, although they were often worn just for their own sake. Brooches. Brooches around 1860, the design of many brooches changed from the horizontal to the vertical axis, assuming an upright rather than a horizontal shape. The new vertical design suited better the alternative function of this ornament as a pendant or bracelet center. The rather delicate and elaborate scroll design of the early 1860s were replaced in the 1870s by a simple gem-set oval border surrounding the center decorative motif embellished at the compass points by 4 gems and supporting a similar pendant. This design prevailed until the end of the century. Pendants. Pendants, the neck ornament in vogue in the 1860s and 1870s, were worn on gold chains, on strings of pearls, or on velvet ribbon. The most favorite was the pendant deriving its shape and decoration from the Renaissance. Holbenesque pendants often came in suit with a pair of similar designed pendant earrings. Bracelets. The fashion for wearing 2 or 3 bracelets on each arm continued. Gold bracelets of cork or ship's cable linking, substantial in appearance but often very light, were common, as were flexible gold bands with jeweled centers or clasps. The Renaissance revival inspired bracelets of enameled rectangular linking, often of open-work design, sets with colored gemstones, and gold and enamel bangles of sculptural form. Greek archaeology inspired bracelets of rectangular gold plugs decorated with the fine granulation, corded wire, and enamels, ancient coins and cameos mounted in simple gold frames, and rows of rounded bosses decorated with rosette motifs. Diamond bracelets were usually designed as flexible bands of open-work scrolled links. Bangles became the most fashionable arm ornament of the 1870s. They were usually designed as white gold bands set at the center with a circular gem set or enamel decorative motif, often detachable or entirely studded with cabochon or faceted stones. White gold bangles were engraved with Greek motifs in the 1860s. Roman mosaics were often set at the front of archaeologically inspired bangles. Hoops and half hoops of diamonds and pearls combined with semi-precious stones were usually wider than similar designed bangles of the last 2 decades of the century, often set with several rows of pearls and gemstones. Rings continued to be set with a simple flower-head cluster of stones or designed as half hoops. Variation of the latter design included gold bands with a graduated row of gemstones, set in a boat-shaped marquise motif, or stars set with 3 diamonds or colored stones. Single stone rings were usually designed as a white gold band with a split at the center in a rosette of cloth securing the stone in place. In 1875, the gypsy ring was introduced as a novelty. It consisted of a gold band into which the gemstone was so deeply set that the table of the stone was level with the surface of the metal. Apart from being attractive and fashionable, this type of setting had the advantage of protecting the gem and disguised doublets of composite stones. Plain gold ring designed as snakes or 4 times around the finger occasionally had gem-set eyes. Memorial rings were usually designed as plain gold bands encircled by a braid of hair or decorated with half pearls and black enamel. And today that's all we wanted to discuss. Stay tuned for future podcasts. Goodbye.